What would make a classroom feel like a more equity-minded and just space is having more diverse topics and diverse points of view in the class. Sometimes it kind of has to be put out there, as in, not to say forced, but in a way you kind of have to encourage people to present that sort of thing. In terms of diversity, I think that is a very broad definition because there's diversity in really everything. I don't think it's limited to, like, say, demographic statistics. There are people who may have different life experiences where you can't really explain that in a quantitative way. There is an experience that some may not experience in their own life that they get to secondhand learn about, and that adds to their overall view of life, because now they get to experience and listen to other people that they may not normally interact with. Especially now with, I noticed a lot more social media issues where people aren't necessarily seeing what other people are seeing. There's all these algorithms that are putting people into their own bubble. So in a way, when we interact and when we have diverse opinions and diverse experiences in the classroom, we're sort of popping that bubble. Because now it's people that are talking to other people that aren't decided by some program where people have their own views sort of shaped into that comfort zone.
I think to make the classroom more equity friendly, maybe examples of people who've made it, maybe bring in spokespeople or watching videos on people who from different backgrounds, different stages in their lives make it. I think with me, sometimes it's hard with me to see where I want to be because I'm like, oh, I'm a little bit older than everybody else. But if I see other people with backgrounds who kind of started late and they still made it and like how they got there and where their career is now, I think that would really work for me. I think it will give me more motivation to, and different backgrounds, it will give me more motivation to try harder and to see that I'm not really alone in it. That I'm not like feeling like a failure because everybody's a little bit ahead of me already.
One of the things that would make a classroom more equity-minded and just, I think this is kind of a bias, I guess I would have, more education on like LGBTQ topics, just because I've heard from my coworker that this trans student was complaining that they were not being acknowledged for their the name that they wanted to go by, because they were just being called by the name that was in the class roster, not by the preferred name. So if that problem still exists like today, like I think it's definitely a problem that all professors should have mandatory training on, just because we want these students to feel acknowledged and to be seen, because they have every right to be called what they want to be called or what pronouns they want to be called. So I think one of the things is just kind of a training to, like make sure that if a student wants to be called per a certain pronoun or a certain name, that they put that need above what it says, if that makes sense. But yeah, because one of the things I do like is that in the on the portal, you're allowed to change your name and put pronouns in, so I thought that was a great addition. But I guess some professors are not doing enough about it, so that's something I would like to see personally. I definitely think setting ground rules that on the basis that classrooms don't tolerate any homophobia, any ableism, transphobia, racism, just making sure that like this is not allowed would make a classroom feel more equity-minded and just. Yeah, it's just there's a need to be recognized and kind of an equal respect that needs to be demanded in the classrooms as well.
Yeah, so with keeping equity in mind, having certain accommodations for people, whether it's extended due dates or using pronouns in the classroom and asking people, how do you prefer to be addressed, can be very helpful to be creating a more equitable and just space.
It would improve my experience at CSUN if my professors knew that we want to be able to come to class, and we want to be able to have that safe space and like that place where we are like, hey, if someone's not getting it, they are able to ask questions, that they don't have that fear that like the rest of the class is going to like make fun of them or like is going to make a sound, or, you know, that they are able to come into the class and know that they're able to learn and not watch the professor argue with another student, or, you know, have to cringe when another student is like saying inappropriate things, or allowing students who come in and like are just there to like antagonize, or if they are being disruptive, have a conversation with that person, because, you know, I don't know what's going on with other students. They don't know what's going on with me. I could be having a rough day that day and just seem completely just zoned out, but then other days different. So I think that like it's important for professors to like have also that ability to reach out to students and just say, hey, everything going okay? You don't have to explain to me, but like, you know, I just noticed in class, or like in class, I've been noticing you've been very like, however you want to say it in a nice, not antagonistic, but, you know, be able to say like, I've kind of noticed that, you know, you've been struggling, or, you know, what have you, and is there anything I can do? And that kind of thing to kind of help make the classroom a safe space and make the classroom a place where like we look forward to going to, instead of like, oh gosh, I have my 12 o'clock class and there's that person, you know, it's like, that's not okay. Like, I mean, I know there's always going to be that person, but it's always, sometimes it's like, oh, it's that person who just asks a lot of questions and they're just, that's them, you know, which is fine. I'd rather be in a classroom with someone who asks a lot of questions, or someone who talks a lot, versus someone who says something offensive, or someone who like is showing up and you're like, I don't know what they're going to say now. So I just think it'd be very important for professors to know that, you know, there are students who are there to learn, that we want to walk in that classroom and hear what they have to say, and we want to engage with them, and we want to go their office hours, and we want to build a good rapport, which was one of my goals coming into CSUN, and I did. Like, I have really good rapports with multiple professors because I went to their office hours because I felt like this is a safe person that I can talk to and ask questions, or even just say, hey, like, I have a question about this, or like, hey, can we talk about this? And like, oh my gosh, I went to my first office hours and we burned out all our office hours because we just ended up talking just as people. And I think that a lot of students are missing out on that because they think either they can't talk to the professor, or they feel like their professor is that talking head, that the professor is just there to talk at them, and then everyone goes home and that's it, when they could have a very valuable relationship and learning from someone who wants to teach and who wants to share their experiences with.